Hey guys, what's up? This is Matthew Davis, me once again. Sorry, I'm in my closet in the dark right now because there's a very scary situation going on right now. I can't go into my room right now because, well, yeah, it's a YouTuber's worst fear, or one of their worst fears, and that being noise going on outside while someone is trying to make a video. Because if noise is playing in the background, people that are watching the video are going to be annoyed by it, because you do not want that. You want people to enjoy your content without any disturbances whatsoever. So I have to do this in the closet in the dark. But hey, it's spookier that way, and we're just a few days away till Halloween, and I'm going to end it off with talking about a classic video game, that of course being Silent Hill. I'm going to be using gameplay footage from other people's videos. I am going to credit them because I played on PS3 and they didn't give you the option to record video unless you had a capture card, but I'm cheap. I don't have a capture card, so yeah, I'm going to do just that. Now, Silent Hill was the start of one of the most popular horror video game series outside of Resident Evil. Because of the popularity of Resident Evil, Konami decided to make their own horror franchise, starting with this. In Silent Hill, you play as Harry Mason, a man who is going on vacation with his daughter, but after getting into an accident, his daughter goes missing, and he has to explore the town of Silent Hill in order to get his daughter back. Now, Silent Hill gained instant popularity and gained a lot of praise for its atmosphere and how it's told a very immersive story, and throughout the game it managed to get more interesting. While a lot of people did compare it to Resident Evil, there are actually elements to this game that make it better than Resident Evil, or at least the first Resident Evil game. In terms of first installments in popular horror game franchises, I feel like this is the better version. It may be unpopular for some people, but for me, while I was playing the game, I got more enjoyment out of it. Not that I didn't like the original Resident Evil game. It's just that when it came to its story and its controls and of course, its dialogue, Silent Hill managed to do things just a little bit better than that game, in my opinion. Yes, the dialogue is cheesy from time to time and the voice acting isn't perfect, but it's still better than this. But it's honestly better than this.
What is it?
Kenneth was killed too. Maybe by this creature.
That was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
I have this.
Thank you. I'll take this then.
I mean, the dialogue in that game is memorable because of how bad it is. I mean, Jill sandwich is one of the most iconic video game lines ever. But if you want something that you can actually take seriously, Silent Hill, I feel like, is the closest thing to that. While at first the game is very slow and you're not going to entirely know what to do because you're starting off exploring the town of Silent Hill, while you do get a map and it does indicate where exactly you're supposed to go, it's still very easy to get lost. But that's the sense of horror that Konami has brought to this franchise. It can be hard to tell exactly where you gotta go, especially with the controls. Of course, it does have those similar tank controls as in the Resident Evil games. I shouldn't really be comparing it to Resident Evil all the time, but what I like about this is that it has a sense of third-person perspective, or a semi-third-person perspective, rather than just, changing angles in each area when you progress. I mean, some rooms have that, but it's not all the time. Like, yes, it does take some time to get used to. It does have that sense of tank controls, especially if you don't have an analog stick, if you're playing on the PS1, or you just have analog stick off. But what I like the most and respect the most about the controls is that it adds more of that tension and sense of fear, because an enemy can be lurking at every single corner. And what I really appreciate the most about when it comes to fighting off enemies is that you know an enemy is coming when you have your radio on. Every time, your radio is on, you'll always be able to have the sense that an enemy is coming up. And the controls do take some time to get used to, but hey, I feel like, I do understand the controls a lot more as I'm playing the game. You have to hold down your R1 button or whatever, and then press the right button in order to shoot or use combat. It is tedious at first, but it's something to get used to. Because, of course, this was PlayStation. Before they had the analog stick, they had the wimpy, controls without the analog stick. But hey, there are things about Silent Hill that they managed to get right when it comes to its atmosphere, its world building, and the fact that once in a while when it gets to a cutscene, it adds more to the storyline and something that you really have to wrap your head around, especially since there are more entries later on. It's honestly far more interesting than what it seems to be. Like playing this game, you expect, some good old fashioned horror, but do you really expect a good story? I mean, yes, you do. And it's something that I really appreciate when it comes to this first game, and the fact that the storylines would get better with entries later on. Probably not till, like, when the franchise came back in 2024, with the remake, not the message or whatever that free game was called. I keep forgetting what it was called, but I heard it was bad. So yeah, Konami knew what to do when it came to horror. The fact is, this isn't really their first time with horror. The Castlevania games has that sense of horror. The fact that with each entry in the franchise, they managed to add in more when it comes to, the monsters and all that. So the fact that they took a shot at survival horror, it shows that, during the time, they understood what made horror so big in the 90s when it came to video games and stuff. The fact that they managed to experiment a lot more when it came to video games. And you really gotta respect the fact that this original, while definitely doesn't hold up in terms of a graphical standpoint, its horror and atmosphere, I still feel like makes it worth playing in modern time. Especially with the franchise making a comeback. Silent Hill has shown that while Resident Evil is definitely the more popular franchise, you really gotta respect Silent Hill for having that same impact, but having so much immersion when it comes to its storyline and its world building. It still has that same sense of fear, especially when it comes to controls, but it's what makes it more horrifying. The fact that you're going to end up in a very bad situation, whether you have low ammo or low health to use against a boss, or you're stuck in that one area and you don't know exactly where to go, and you're at a puzzle but you don't have the right key and you have to backtrack. It's tedious, but I feel like that's really what makes it frightening, is the fact that sometimes there are times where, you feel like you're about to lose your progress because you're in this one situation, you're fighting an enemy and you don't have enough health. Like, yeah, that's actually what makes it frightening for players, especially if you're playing in the dark. So while yes, it's dated from a graphical standpoint and a control perspective, and when it comes to its control, but its storyline is really what holds up, and the atmosphere. Like, there are some times in the game where, even during the cutscenes, it can be suspenseful. Like, I think it has a very creative use of jump scares from time to time. And the game definitely isn't very long either. Like, it only lasts around, 6 hours total. But, hey, it's not one of those games that is going overboard with trying to add in as much as they possibly can to fit into a PlayStation disc or whatever you're playing it on. And the fact that this game, just like Silent Hill 2, is getting a remake as well, it shows how big this game was when it came out. The fact that it had just as much as an impact, it just made it all the more, immersive, especially with the multiple endings that it has, inspiring replay value, and it's something that I feel like, Silent Hill is known for, its replay value. The fact that, with each entry, there's always multiple different endings if you want to, replay the game again. And that's really, the highlight of Silent Hill, that things change. Well, not so much in terms of player choice, except for one specific part in order to get one specific ending, and the final boss changes. For 1999, even though it's dated by today's standards and hasn't aged well as much as other horror games, in terms of its horror, it's still worth playing. I do feel like it should at least be respected for starting a new franchise that is similar to another horror franchise, but doing different things to separate it apart. It may have similarities to the Resident Evil, but it does things even better than Resident Evil. And in the end, guys, Silent Hill I still think is worth playing to this day. At the time, for its horror, it was groundbreaking, it was suspenseful, it had that sense of fear when playing the game, whether it be due to its controls or its areas. It may be dated by today's standards, but at the time, and still, if you're still curious, I still think it's definitely worth playing. If you do manage to find ways of playing this original classic, whether it be from emulators, or at least until we get more information about the remake to this game, I still think Silent Hill, for this installment, there are elements to this game that definitely haven't aged well, but at the same time, there are elements that I feel like did. It was one of the most impressive horror games of its time, and to this day, I still think it's worth playing. I've just been in a Silent Hill mood after playing Silent Hill F, and yeah, I have the newer games to thank for that. And I'm really curious to see what they're going to do for the remake to this game. Though I kind of find it a little odd that they decide to wait till later to do a remake to the original game, while they did Silent Hill 2 remake first. But hey, the Silent Hill 2 remake was great, Silent Hill F was great, so I have hope. But yeah, hope you guys have a great Halloween, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and maybe subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or maybe Blue Sky, links are in the description, and I'll see you guys later. Word out.